Hello and welcome back to Fold at Home Origami with the Lithgow Public Library. My name is Ben. I'm the Youth Services Librarian and I will be showing you how to do some origami today. And today we are going to be making the traditional origami crane, which is probably the most famous and most well-known origami pattern that you can do. It looks hard, especially when you're looking at the steps, but it's actually pretty easy once you understand exactly what we're doing with it. So I'll show you step by step here on how to make the origami crane. So the first step, of course, is to take our rectangular paper and make it into a square. And there are two easy ways to do this. One way is you can take two sheets of paper and just kind of overlap them like this until they are at each other's corners. And then you can just either cut along this edge or you can make a mark with a pencil, and then when you cut this little part off at the end, it will leave you with a square. But my preferred method is to actually take one corner of your paper and fold it over to make a triangle shape. And once you do that, you'll see that it also leaves a nice square edge on our paper, so that when we cut it, it will leave us with one big square. And the reason I like to do this way more is because in many origami patterns, this crease is our first fold. So it actually saves us a little bit of time to do it that way. So with the origami crane, the first step is to make that fold, but we've already done it. So we will turn this square so that the line is pointing directly at us. And then we will fold it in half again so that we make a crease that crosses over that line. And try and get your edges to line up as close as you possibly can. Although sometimes that can be a little difficult. It doesn't have to be perfect, just try and get them as close as you can. And if they don't quite line up the first try, you can shift them around a little bit and then recrease it. So just do what you need to get it where it needs to be. When you open that back up, you'll see that we've got crisscross lines and it wants to bend itself up off the table. So what we're going to do now is we're going to turn it upside down. And when we turn it upside down, we're going to fold it in half across this center point, hot dog style, so that it does this. And it makes a rectangle. Crease that down and then open it back up, turn it again, and we're going to do another hot dog style crease. So now, when you open this back up, you're going to see that our paper is now covered in triangles and that it really doesn't want to stay flat anymore. So what we do next is we turn the whole thing upside down so that it sits on the table like a tent. And this next step seems a little complicated, but we're going to take both our hands and we're going to grasp two of these edges and we're going to pull them together, but at the same time we're going to push it together, and that causes it to do this. As you can see, it comes together, and I'll show you that again with this thing like a tent on the table. You pick any two sides, it doesn't matter which you start with, but you pick any two and you pinch them together and at the same time push them together. And that gets your four-pointed, almost like a cube shape. When we have this, we're going to lay it flat with two of these leaves to either side. And you can go over these creases again to make sure it's nice and smooth and flat. And then the next step is going to be to take one of these leaves, just one, and you're going to fold it in to start making a kite shape. So you can see here that it makes this sort of kite shape, which we will mirror on the other side to make the whole kite shape. So there's a kite shape sitting on top of a square. And we're going to turn it upside down and do the same thing on the other side. So we make that kite shape again on both sides. And then we have it like so. And now that we have this kite shape here, what we're going to do, this next step is kind of difficult, so make sure you follow closely along, and I'll bring the camera a little closer so that we can see exactly what's happening here. So we've got these flaps. The first step here is going to be to fold this top triangle down over those flaps. When you do that, you smooth it down and then you open it back up to make a crease. So now these flaps kind of want to open, so we're going to open them. When you have them open, you'll notice that there's a little point down here right at the bottom that's facing you. Now you can peel this top layer up, only the top layer. So you want to peel this up and then put one finger down below it so that you can start pulling it up and then pushing it further away. And when you push it away from you, you'll see that both sides of this thing kind of come together to make almost like a bowl shape. So with that bowl, you just want to tuck these sides inside it. So what we're basically doing is just turning these inside out. And once you have them inside out, you can lay them flat. And then you can push it back down. So you can see like that they're inside out. Now we're going to go ahead and do that on the other side as well. So here's another example. We open up the flaps, we peel up only the top layer, you put your fingers underneath it to open it up, it makes that bowl shape all on its own, and then you just push the edges of the bowl in to turn it inside out. Once that's done, we'll have this kind of shape, and if you know what you're looking at, you can kind of see that it's starting to look like the crane. But the next step is going to be to make these kites even longer. So we're going to make another set of kite shapes here, but it's really elongated. So we're just going to take one edge and pull it together to that middle and then crease it down. And you do the same on both sides, just like we did before. So now we've got a really long kite shape on a diamond. And we'll do the same on the other side too. So we want these to match. And try to smooth out as nice a point as you can on these ends here, because these ends are going to become the beak and the tail of our crane. So now that this is all smoothed out, the next step is what starts really turning it into a crane. So this top flap, if you put your finger behind it and go all the way down to where it stops, you can bend it down. And you can see that this is going to form one of the wings of our crane. You can see the hump of the back here. Now when you do that on both sides, well, when you look at that, we've got a pair of wings. So now we need to get these bottom points up to the top and turn them into the head and the tail. How to do that? Well, you can fold these down, fold the wings down, and you can open up this side. So you open that up a bit, and then you pick a point right around where this crease is, this leftover crease, to just fold this top thing up onto itself. So I'll show you again here. You open it up, you find that crease, and then you fold this over into itself. And you want to smooth these out as you go. And then you can pull them back together so that this tail shape is folded in half. And then we will do the exact same thing on the other side. So we open it up, fold it at the crease, and then let it go back in half again. So now our tail and our head are standing vertically. We need to get them at an angle. So start with either side, and what you're going to do is you're just going to hold the body of the crane and then one of these points, and you're going to pull it out a little bit. When you get it at the angle you want, just pinch it down here. Just pinch it and squeeze, and you'll see that it stays at that angle. So again, hold the body, you pull down to the angle that you want, and then you just pinch it together. Easy as pie. So now the last step is to make the head of the crane. So you want to go maybe about this far up one side, flatten it out a bit, and then fold it down. When you fold it down, you'll see that it creates the head of our paper crane. And you can leave it flat like this, or if you really want to, you can sort of let it invert in on itself a bit, and then you can make it more like that. So either way, you can just pinch it together and it works out. So this is our paper crane, and they will stand on their own if you open up the bottom a little bit. So you got to kind of pull this out into an X shape. So when you do that, it gives it enough surface area down below that it can stand up on its own. And what I find interesting is that there is a little hole in the bottom that you can put like a toothpick or a skewer or something into that, just right into that hole down on the bottom, and it will sit on top of that stick. So you can use these to like decorate things. You could put them on cupcakes, you could put them in the garden, you can do whatever you like with them. And yeah, that's our crane. And thank you for watching, and stay tuned next month. We will have even more origami for you to fold at home.